So we have the idea of a God who's all good, but he's not powerful enough to stop any wrong things from happening. The other option is, well, he's all powerful, but he is all powerful and still this happens to my child, it means he's not all good. He also has some element of evil in him. So he can't be all powerful and all good at the same time. Otherwise, why would this happen to my child? So this was his dilemma, his existential dilemma. He was grappling with it. And this is actually a problem that has baffled philosophers from time immemorial. I remember many years ago reading a cover story in Time magazine, one of the famous newspapers, Time. And the topic was the problem of evil. You know, we all know that there are evil people in this world, there are bad people, there are good people. Of course, the idea of good and bad is all mixed up because it's all relative. I think someone is good, you may think someone is bad, and vice versa. What is good, what is bad? These are all very relative terms, it's all so confusing. But in general, we believe there are people who are bad. They do bad things. For example, you know, killing a child or committing some murder against an innocent person, you know, something like that. We all agree that that's a bad thing to do. So we have these very amorphous ideas of what is bad and what is good, but there's not much clarity there. There's more heat than light when we talk about these things. So the problem of evil is something that's so fundamental to our lives. Why does evil exist? And what is evil in the first place? So out of curiosity, I went through the articles. I didn't emerge any wiser because that article, or the articles were basically a compendium of the confusion existing in this sphere. And everybody's different opinions. You know, sometimes journalists don't take stands on things. They want to give you a balanced perspective and end up leaving you confused. You know, because you don't know. They give you this person says this, that person says this one says that, and then where does that leave you? And you don't know what to make of it. But fortunately, you know, we've been having some discussions earlier, and I had read the Bhagavad Gita and understood its philosophy. And I was feeling, oh my God, yes, there's something we can offer to the world. There's so much important, such important knowledge here that is of so much bearing in our lives. Because evil, good, bad, karma, these are important ideas for us to reflect on. And the question of why do bad things happen to good people, and the reverse, why do good things happen to bad people? You know, it seems that sometimes bad people just flourish, and good people sometimes meet with calamities of all sorts. It seems rather unfair. What is it all about? Why is this world like this? I'm sure at some point in time all of us have asked ourselves similar questions. Now, to understand why karma is important and how it links up with the other phenomena that I mentioned, like reincarnation and the existence of the soul and so on, let's start with the fundamental premise of the action-reaction principle. I'll ask you a question. You all believe in the law of action and reaction? Yes? So you believe that every action has a reaction? Now we're not going to talk religion, we're only going to talk logic and philosophy, right? Sometimes today, especially when I travel, religion is a bad word. People are so upset with religion because of all the problems that have happened in the name of religion. In any case, so we all believe that action and reaction is a fundamental principle of nature, which means that for every action, there is a reaction. Everything that is happening is going to be the cause of something else. And everything that is happening is also the result of some other cause that has happened in the past, recent or remote. So everything is moving on according to this one fundamental principle: action, reaction, reaction. And you think of millions of actions that every entity does, and the multiplicity of actions, reactions that go on everywhere. It's exceedingly complex. This whole cycle and mesh of action and reaction becomes so complicated that it is very hard to figure it out. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is explained in Sanskrit, Gahano Karmana Gati, which means the intricacies of karma are so complex that one cannot understand it. But one can understand the basic principles that underlie it, and then one can make some sense of what's happening, even if we may not have specific information about why certain things have happened to certain people, but we have a general idea, an overall understanding of the situation. So action and reaction is something that is something we all understand, we accept it. The principle of causality, to use a philosophical term. Therefore, I'll bring up another word, chance. Let me ask you a question. How many of you believe that things happen by chance? That anything at all could happen by chance? Anyone? Yes? Things happen by chance? Sometimes. Okay? There's one answer. Anyone else? Do things happen by chance? Or is there always a reason for something to happen? Always a reason. Let's take the most common example, the tossing of a coin. Yes? Generally we talk of chance, 50% chance of heads or 50% chance of tails. Now flip the coin. What's the chance that the coin will turn heads? What do you say? 50% you would say. And you're right. Statistically that's right. But when the coin does fall, let's say heads, has it fallen heads by chance? What do you say? Anyone? Once it's fallen, it's heads. Has it fallen heads by chance? If you were to, sorry?
The way it was meant to happen. The way it was meant to
The way it was meant to happen. Why did it happen like that though? Why did that coin fall heads? Is there a reason behind it? There is a reason. If you were able to figure out, I know, realistically, practically, you can't figure it out. But let's do what Einstein called a thought experiment. Imagine that you were able to know the force with which you flip the coin. Let's assume you know all the physical details of the coin, like its elasticity and various other phenomena of physics and science. You knew the wind velocity and the gravity and the air resistance and the elasticity of the ground on which it falls and all these other details. You had some supercomputer that knew all these things. Then it's not chance. You've got all these forces that are acting upon that coin. And of course, you and I know that it's not worth trying to find out what these forces are, all the details of it. But we do know that there are forces acting on the coin, and it's the ultimate result or resultant vector of all these that result in the coin falling heads or tails. So just as a matter of everyday convenience, so that we don't go crazy, we say by chance, it fell heads by chance. But if you look at it philosophically, scientifically, It's not by chance. So similarly, for everything there is a cause. And can I make a bit of a bold statement now? There is nothing like chance. Chance is merely the expression of our ignorance of the cause. I'll say that again. Chance is merely an expression of our ignorance of the cause. When I don't know why something has happened, I say by chance. I met someone by chance on the road, incidentally, just by stroke of luck or bad luck. I met someone on the street. Nothing happens by chance, there's a cause there. If there is a cause or a combination of causes for the coin to fall heads or tails, there must also be a cause for me bumping into someone on the street. There must be a cause for every single thing that happens in this world. It cannot be otherwise. This would mean that the principle of causality is something so fundamental we have to accept it as universal and practically absolute. So let's apply it to our daily actions. So now, we all experience happiness and distress in our life. There's a cause. Sometimes we're able to identify what the cause is. It's easy to identify. You ate something and you had a tummy upset, easy to identify it. You spoke a harsh word to someone, you got 5 harsh words in return, easy to understand. Action and reaction. But sometimes actions and reactions form a long cycle. Sometimes there's an immediate reaction, what we call instant karma. Yeah? And sometimes it takes a little while. For example, you eat a meal now, you might get a tummy upset at night, or maybe tomorrow morning. There are some diseases which incubate in the body for years, sometimes 10 years, sometimes 20 years. And you find out after that actually this disease has been there in your body all along, and you didn't know about it because there weren't any symptoms. But the action took place 20 years before the symptoms of the disease manifest. So this is an example of delayed karma. Sometimes the karma is delayed by a few seconds, sometimes by a few minutes, sometimes hours, weeks, months, years, decades even. Now let's extend that. What about actions that will be further delayed? What happens then? You see, human life is limited. All life is limited. So this body is going to get destroyed one day. And then what happens to all the account of karma that we have got left? We've done so many actions, and each of those actions must bring about some reaction, either instant or delayed or very much delayed. But what happens when this body gets destroyed? What happens to those actions? Is the principle of causality, the law of action and reaction violated? No. If this is an absolute fundamental principle of nature, that means these reactions must come to us. But who are we? Who does it come to? If my body has been destroyed at death, and my body will either be cremated or buried or destroyed in some way, who is going to receive the reactions of those karmas that were performed previously? And herein we come to the basic idea of the soul. The Bhagavad Gita, the basic text from which I have studied and which I try to speak about wherever I go, teaches us that we, as living entities, are not this body. The body that we see right now, that we consider to be ourselves, is not actually the real I and the real you. When you look into a mirror, you're not looking at yourself. You're looking at your body. The body belongs to you. but it is not you. Sometimes for everyday convenience, we may speak of ourselves like that. For example, you're traveling on the road, and let's say there's a Mercedes car ahead of you, and the green signal has come on, and the car continues there, just halts there, and you lean out and say, "Hey, Mercedes, move on." What you intend to say is that you're talking to the person within the Mercedes car. You're not actually talking to the car. But just as a matter of convenience, you say that. So similarly, we address each other as if we think we are the body, but actually we are not the body. We are the spiritual spark that resides within the body. And when this body is destroyed, as it eventually will, the eternal soul is not destroyed. In Sanskrit, it's called the Atma. It is imperishable, indestructible, a spiritual spark of energy that resides within the region of the heart. This soul moves out of the body when it ceases to be a fit vehicle for it. Inasmuch as when our car is destroyed in an accident, we go to another car. We purchase another car. When we move out of one apartment, our tenancy period is over, we take up another apartment. So similarly, when the tenancy in this body is over, the tenant, the soul, has to move to another body. And let's remember that the soul has no material designation. The body may have some designation, male, female, human, animal, bird, or this community, caste or creed, language, nationality. These are all bodily designations. They have to do with this body of flesh and bone. But that's not the real you and the real me. The soul has no such designations. And therefore the soul may be presently in a body that we call Australian, male, elderly. But yesterday it was not in an old body. Yesterday it was in a young body. And maybe in the life after this one, it may be a completely different body, in a different country, maybe in a different species. So one of the very important items of knowledge given in the Bhagavad Gita is that the eternal soul moves from body to body, body to body, and this change is not really surprising. It is like us changing clothes. When we go home, we change into something more comfortable, we freshen up, we take a bath, and don new clothes. When our day begins, again we change, we wear new clothes. We have different sets of clothes for different types of ceremonies or occasions. When you go to the beach, when you go to play a game, when you go to your workplace, you have different clothes. So similarly, there's nothing surprising in the soul having different types of bodies, different types of clothes. So we change clothes. Now how does this all happen? The soul gives up a body, goes to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and this cycle of birth and death goes on interminably until one reaches the point of perfection in spiritual realization, when one will come out of the cycle of birth and death. That is actually, according to Bhagavad Gita, the perfection of life. The perfection of life and real success does not lie in any of the accomplishments or attainments of this world. Even though, whilst we survive in this world, there are things we need to do, and we must do them. However, at a certain higher level, a deeper level, we have to go beyond the world and think of the spiritual. So why does this all happen? What determines the kind of body we will get in the next life? And the answer is our karma. As I said, nothing happens by chance. So the fact that someone is born in Australia in a certain kind of body, someone is born in Japan with a certain kind of body, someone is born in a human body someone in an animal body, some entity in a plant's body. It cannot happen by chance. Even, let's just consider human beings. Why is one child born, let's say, mentally challenged? Another child born with a very high IQ? Why is one child born gifted with some musical genius? Why is another child born with no talent for music at all? Why is there such enormous diversity in what we see? What is the reason why this diversity is visible right from the beginning of life? Is it by chance? No. There is a reason. There is a reason why things happen like this. But one may say, well, at the beginning of life, what's there? What karma have you performed that I should be born mentally challenged or with some congenital defects, some physical problems, for example? The answer is that we are facing the reactions of the karma that we have performed in previous lives. There is no other rational or logical explanation for this. How else can we explain this? Modern science does not have an explanation. They can speak at the most in terms of genetics and talk of how there's a genetic problem and probably there was an ancestral or hereditary problem in the genes. But why is it that this particular individual became a child in this family and not in another family? So it gives rise to a host of questions. But when we understand the principle of the eternal soul and of karma and of reincarnation, these things fall in place. So the idea of bad things happening to good people can be understood in the context of a string of lives together, not just one life. When you consider life as just one period from birth to death, you end up with many unanswered questions. But when you see life as a continuum that's been going on for a long time previously and will probably continue on for a long time in the future, and when you also factor in the idea that the body is temporary, it gets destroyed, and the soul moves from body to body, and you bring in the principle of karma, then things make sense. You now start getting some grip on what's happening around you. Even if we don't know the specifics of the situation, but we understand the general principles. You know, we all do good things and bad things. Let me ask you one thing. Is there any one of you who can say you never lied in your life? Anyone? Never spoken a lie in your life? We all lie so many times. White lies, black lies, gray lies, all kinds of lies. Yes, colorful lies. All sorts of lies, little lies, helpful lies. So we tell lies. It's there. What is bad karma? So, depending on the severity of the lie, the context, the circumstances in which the lies were spoken, there are reactions. So we've done some good things, we've done some bad things. You've probably spoken harshly to someone and hurt someone's feelings badly when we shouldn't have done that. So someone's going to hurt us in return somewhere, somehow, sometime. The karma is going to come back to us. Sometimes these reactions will come back, capital plus interest. They will come back, many things together, many karmas together, conglomerated, come back as one huge tsunami. Or sometimes it may be a one-to-one reaction, action reaction. It could be so many things. How many of you have heard of a great epic called the Mahabharata? Anyone? Okay, few. I'll tell you the story in brief. It's one of the most important epics coming from India in the Sanskrit language. It's about two families of cousins. One to represent good, the other represent evil. And there's a big struggle for justice, for virtue, which in Sanskrit is called karma. And eventually good prevails over the bad. And it is in the Mahabharata that we have the Bhagavad Gita spoken on a battlefield. Existential dilemmas. Imagine a spiritual discourse being given on a battlefield today, hardly likely. But in those days that did happen. So in part of this Mahabharata, there was the bad family, the evil cousins, who had a father who was blind. And because of blind attachment to his sons, he condoned the evil acts of his sons, which he shouldn't have. Even though they were his sons, as the king, he should have told them off. He should have stopped them from doing things that were evil. His duty as a king should have triumphed over his attachment to his sons, but he didn't do that. So there was devastation, there was a huge war that took place, and many, many people were killed. So now let me tell you a story. And I'll come back to this Mahabharata point. There was once a hunter, and he was out in the forest, and he had his net, and he saw some birds. So he threw his net, and he caught these 100 birds in his net. And these birds were trapped, and naturally they died. In the process, he also injured. He made the mother and the father bird blind. Now time went by. Now killing an animal is bad karma. Killing anyone is bad karma. So, but even killing an animal is bad karma, actually. Because you're causing pain. It's an act of cruelty. So when we inflict cruelty or violence or pain upon someone, it's going to come back to us sooner or later. Incidentally, that's one very strong reason why we should be vegetarian. Because we don't want to suffer the results of what we are doing to other living entities. Yes? And it's just not nice. Why should civilized human beings be cruel to others? It doesn't make sense. So this hunter was very cruel, so he killed these 100 birds. Now he had to face the karmic reaction for killing these 100 birds in the presence of the mother and father. Generally, it is the way of nature that older people die first and the younger people die later. So the parents die first and then the children die. It's generally what happens. But when it happens in the reverse way, it means there's some anomaly there. There's some problem there. So now that he had killed the 100 baby birds of the father bird and the mother bird, now he had to suffer the reaction that he would one day have 100 of his offspring being killed in his presence. So when he was alive. It's quite painful to see your parents passing away, but it's even more painful to see your children passing away. Yes? So he had this karmic reaction that was due to him of seeing his own 100 children perishing before him. But you see, in order to have a child also, you need to have a certain amount of piety. There are many couples who want to have a child but are unable to conceive for some reason or the other. So you need a certain degree of pious karma in order to be able to conceive and give birth to a child. Now, in order to have piety to conceive 100 children, you need a lot of piety. So you need to accumulate a lot of piety, and that perhaps is not possible in one lifetime. So this hunter had to wait 50 lifetimes before he accumulated enough piety to be able to give birth to 100 sons. In those days, it was possible perhaps. Many queens and so on and so forth. So He had to wait 50 lifetimes before he could suffer the reactions of his cruel act of killing those 100 baby birds. So, normally, if the situation had been such that he had 100 children, maybe he could have had the reaction earlier. But the karma was delayed by as long as 50 lifetimes, because he was yet to accumulate the piety to get those 50 children, 100 children, I beg your pardon. And then once he had those 100 children, he was also born blind. And then he had to bear the suffering of his 100 children, his sons dying before him. And that happened in this battle, the battle of Kurukshetra. And that person was none other than the king, the father. His name was Dhritarashtra. He was the father of these 100 princes who were killed in the battle. So this is how karma works. You know, so we normally expect instant reactions. And we doubt the existence of the law of karma and of the existence of an afterlife or a previous life, because why doesn't it all come in one lifetime? The answer is that it does take time. Let me give you some explanations of why all karmic reaction doesn't necessarily come in this one life itself. Sometimes some reactions come in one life, instant reactions as I said. But there are many reactions that may come in a future life. What's the logic behind that? Number one, this body is temporary. Therefore, when this body is destroyed, the karmic reactions that are yet to be experienced cannot just disappear into thin air. They must come back to us. Therefore, they will wait for us to take our next birth, and then we will receive those reactions. That's the first logical reason for it. The second is that this body, as I mentioned, is like a dress for the soul. Let's say that there's a thief who's stolen something and his action is caught on a CCTV and the police catch up with him. And they said, okay, here's the picture and we caught you in the act and now you're arrested. And he says, no, show me the proof. And the policeman shows him the CCTV grab and shows him at a distance. But here's a person wearing a red shirt. And now you're arresting me, but I'm wearing a white shirt. The policeman says, well, it doesn't matter what shirt you're wearing now, or what shirt you were wearing then, but you were the same person. You were wearing a red shirt then, you're wearing a white shirt now, it doesn't make a difference. It was you in the TV camera there, and it's you here now, so I'm going to arrest you. So similarly, whether it was the previous body, or this body, or the next body, or whether the body I will receive after 50 lifetimes, it's me, it's the soul. The karmic reactions may come in any particular life, it doesn't really matter. So this is another reason for us to understand why karmic reactions may not necessarily come in only one lifetime. It may be spread out over many, many lifetimes. Let me give another reason. Now, you know, any of you do gardening here? You're familiar with different trees, fruit trees? Which trees do you plant? Which fruit trees do you have? Are you familiar with? Sorry, lemon. And? Jackfruit. Okay. Banana. Avocado. Okay, is anyone well versed enough to be able to say how long it takes before you plant a seed and you get a fruit from that tree? How long for lemon? How long for avocado? How long for apple, pineapple, banana? Anyone? Yeah? They're different times. How much time? 7 years. That's a long time. For a mango, it may take decades. For a banana, it may take weeks or months. So, different seeds intrinsically have a certain quality. They all fructify at different times. So, banana seed will give a fruit perhaps in a few months. An avocado seed will give a fruit in 7 years. Mango seed in perhaps 10 years. So, different seeds give fruit at different times because of their very nature. Similarly, different karmic seeds, every action that we perform, every karma is like a seed that we sow, so to speak. And it will fructify at different times according to the very nature of that karma. So some karmas will fructify very quickly, others will fructify later, and yet others will fructify even much later. So therefore, different actions will give reactions at different times in this life as well as in future lives. And finally, the circumstances have to be right. Inasmuch as even if your seed is good, but if the soil is sandy or rocky, it's not going to produce fruit. If you don't have enough water, then it's not going to be able to produce fruit. So similarly, as in the example of that hunter, the circumstances were not right for him to receive the reactions immediately. So he had to wait 50 lives. So these are some of the logical reasons why we can understand that reactions to the karmas that we perform in this life could take a short time, it could be delayed time, it could take place even after many, many lifetimes. Now look at it, how mind-boggling the whole scenario is, and try to see how complex the whole thing is. Imagine also how we are acting at every moment in our life, and each of those actions is like a seed that we are sowing that's going to bear fruit at some point in time in the future.